Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing my car review, but we're going to be doing it in the car because it's so incredibly windy outside that my microphone won't catch my voice. So we're going to do it in the car, and I didn't want to drive home and do it in my garage because you can't see it. So I just figured this would be the best bet, and I didn't want to do it while I was driving because it has bald tires. I have new tires on the way, but it has bald tires, and I didn't want to go through that. So, if you enjoy this video and are new to the channel, smash that like button and leave a subscribe because I'm just going to be doing more about the Foxbody, and I'm building it, and I got a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to link one of the videos of what I'm going to do with it right there. I hope that's the right corner, and let's get started. So, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about this car. If you were here for that, you might as well click off because I really only have good things to say. I think if we're going to start with our vegetables, the bad, the brakes. Especially on my, because this is a 1986 Mustang, especially on the 86, it has the 4-cylinder brakes on it because that's just what Ford did. And then in 87, they got the bigger brakes. So I have a 10-inch rotor right now, and then it went to an 11-inch rotor. So, but I think that's like the only bad thing I have to say about this car so far, or at all, really. The Foxbody Mustang is a great entry-level car to get yourself started into cars. I mean, it's cheap, it's easily worked on, and there's so many aftermarket parts for this car. The list goes on and on. The potential, I mean, you don't get me started on the potential. I mean, if you go on YouTube and type in Foxbody, there's 8-second quarter mile of Foxbodies, 9-second quarter mile of Foxbodies. The list just goes on and on. This is one of the best cars to make fast, especially at the drag strip. And the builds go from one end of the spectrum to the other. I mean, you can autocross this car, you can drag this car, you can drift this car. I mean, the possibilities are endless for the Foxbody. This is probably America's icon when it comes to the most worked on and loved car. The other great thing about this car is since so many people have done work to these things, the forums are crazy, and everybody on the forums is really nice. I mean, I've gone on some forums and people are just mean, but Foxbody Mustang forums are probably the nicest and the best forums you can look on. But this is just a great car, everything about it. Oh, so we were talking about bad stuff. I think the brakes are bad, and the T5 transmission that came in it wasn't the greatest either. But there's so many aftermarket options for it that it's easily swapped out. This car, I'm going to be putting a TKO 600 in it just because I think that's the easiest to do. So the other thing that isn't the greatest about this car, but is kind of great at the same time, is that it had 200 horsepower from the factory, but it had 300 foot-pounds of torque. So 300 foot-pounds of torque, you can do some big old burnouts, and it's just the funnest thing ever. And it's easily upgradable. The smog emissions in the 80s was why this car was only coming out with 200 horsepower. But I mean, you do heads, exhaust, a cam, an intake, and you're like 300, 400 horsepower, which is great. I mean, the block on these cars only takes about 500, and then you get cap walk and the block splits. But then again, we come back to there's so much aftermarket support, and everybody's had a 302 that you can go to the junkyard, get a 351 Windsor, you can look online, you can get an iron block, like 4-bolt main, kind of what I did, and there's just, possibilities are endless. So, I mean, that was one of the things that wasn't the greatest, but, I mean, you can fix that real fast, and it's not going to take you any time at all, and it's not a big deal. This is my first car, and I took my driver's tests in this car, and I got a perfect score on my driver's test, but I just love this car. It's so good. I haven't had really any problems with it. I mean, there's just little stupid things like, I don't know, the battery died a couple times, but that's just from being an 80s car. It's an old car. I mean, those are little things you have to expect when you're getting an older car like this. But otherwise, it's done me so well, and I've really beat the crap out of this car. I mean, I've had it since I was 16, and I'm 23 now, and I've just beat this car up, which is sad. I have a video about I got in a wreck with it, and that's where this whole build is coming from. I'm gonna just redo the whole car and make it, I want it to be like when you step into the car, like you're going back into the 80s, but with a built motor and a turbo for it. I already got the motor, and I'm ordering the trans, and then the turbo will come later. But for the immediate future, just the motor and the trans, and getting it running with about 500 horsepower and getting it painted and stuff like that. And that's the goal for me right now. Okay, so we're gonna finish the review in the garage because it just got so nasty outside that I couldn't take it anymore, and sitting in the car I was sweating bullets. So we're just gonna finish it up here. So I'm gonna start talking about what I'm going to do to the car, because like I told you already, I think it's a great car. There's endless possibilities that you can do to this car. So I'm just gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. Since it got in a crash, I am gonna get it repainted. So that's probably the first thing I'm going to do to it. And then I have the new motor I'm going to drop into it, and then the TKO 600. I'm going to get it running, driving, and a good car. And then hopefully as the channel progresses, I can progress with the build, and hopefully I want to do an on-3 turbo with the 7675 big turbo. And so that's what I'm going to be doing with this car. And if you want to follow along, make sure to follow the videos. But that's what's going to be happening with it, because I love this car. I think it's a great platform. There's so much I can work off of with this. Like I said, I've had this car since I was 16. I have emotional connection with this car. I just think this is a great car, and there's so much that you can do with it. And like I was saying, there's so much support because this is a loved car. People do every kind of swap to it. I've seen 2JZ swaps, I've seen LS swaps, every kind of swap, and there's just so much support for this car. So one of the best feelings about the Foxbody is that from the factory it came with about 300 foot-pounds of torque, and it only came with 200 horsepower. But that 300 foot-pounds of torque was crazy. I mean, in a 2,900 pound car, or 2,900 to like 3,200 pound car, just depending on what trim you got, I mean, 300 foot-pounds of torque was massive. I mean, you touch the throttle and you're getting whipped back into your seat. I mean, the RPM range doesn't go that high and you're not making a lot of horsepower, but that torque, that initial torque from the car is just, it's one of the best feelings in the world. And that's why I think a lot of people love the car. It's because it gives you the sense that the car has more power than it actually has, and it's so fun. So like when you get in the car and you're in first, second gear and you punch it, you feel like you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour and you're taking off at light speed. It's just so fun. And surprisingly enough, this car handles really well for what it is. I was really surprised actually how well this car handles for being a Mustang from back in the day. I mean, that's why a lot of people take these cars to autocross events, because you do a couple little things to it and it's doing really well. I mean, Maximum Motorsports they're a whole brand dedicated to just autocross Mustangs. So, I mean, that's another benefit of this car. The other thing is why this car gets used for drifting so much is it's easy to slide. Like I said, from the factory it has 300 foot-pounds of torque. That's more than enough to start drifting with. You can clutch kick it and you can whip this thing around corners. It's great. I mean, I live by Willow Springs, and a lot of guys get these cars and take them out. I think the only difference is they sometimes convert them to IRS in the back, and then they take it and rip it, because 300 foot-pounds of torque is perfect for drifting. I mean, lightweight car, a lot of torque, that's all you need. I think the bad thing is the car doesn't have a ton of angle for drifting, so you probably put an angle kit on the car, but otherwise it's perfect. You could just get one of these cars, put an angle kit, and take it to the track and start drifting it. I mean, it's a perfect car. I'm gonna build a drift car one day. Maybe I'll just use a Foxbody Mustang. I don't know. There's so many choices. But there's so much potential. But the best use of this car, in my opinion, the best use is a street strip car, because it still has good manners when you put a good amount of horsepower to it, and it can still hook if you put the right suspension mods on it, and it's so fun. It's just, I mean, that's the goal. That's my whole goal with this build and this channel, is to get this car street strip and just race everybody I can find and beat them. But it's these cars, it's like almost Ford designed it to be a street strip car that you can drive it around town, go get your groceries, and then you can go to the track like a quarter mile and rip it and beat everybody. I feel like this is what this car was designed for. One of the other great things about this car is it gets noticed a lot. Almost everybody knows what a Foxbody Mustang is. Like, when I'm driving down the road, I mean, when this car was pristine, when I was driving down the road, everybody would look at me, everybody would see me, wave, thumbs up. I mean, this car is recognized. Everybody has a friend that has had a Foxbody. I mean, I'm bad enough that I've convinced a couple of my friends to buy Foxbodies because I loved it so much. But you're recognized. People are always looking at you, and everybody's trying to race you all the time too. So, but that's fun. I mean, it's really fun. But you always see a Foxbody at the track every single time, and everyone has a friend that's had a Foxbody, and everybody's been in a Foxbody and done some donuts and ripped around. It's American icon. It's a great car, and everybody knows about it, and it's a great platform. The Fox platform is great. I should count how many times I've said the Fox platform is great. It's probably been like 1,000 times already. Like I said, this review is heavily in favor of the Mustang because I think it's one of the best cars ever. This is the end of my review on the Fox Mustang. I know I really just talked about how much I liked it and all the good things you can do with it, but in reality, this car is great, and it has tons of possibility, and if you're thinking about buying one, you should buy it. Don't even take a second thought. If there's a nice one you know about, buy it. These are great cars. You won't regret it. But that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button and leave a subscribe for more, because this car is getting heavily built. I mean, on Sunday's video of this week, I'm going to be putting an Innovate wideband on it and some other little toys, and it's getting a Mega Squirt and a brand new motor and a brand new transmission and a bunch of fun stuff like that. And then later on down the road, when I get everything dialed in, it's getting a 7675 turbo, and who doesn't want to watch that? So thanks again for watching, guys. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you next time. Oh, wind, stop! The wind gets horrible as soon as I start talking. Really? Come on. Alright, this isn't gonna work.